Hello, Moonsorrow here, and today we're going to be talking about the upcoming Hearthstone adventure, Blackrock Mountain. Now that every card has been confirmed, I think we can get a much clearer idea on what is going to be in store for us. I will be looking at each card in turn and giving my opinion on what is good and what is not. Starting with Druid. First, we have the Volcano Lumber, 7, 8 for 9, taunt, costs 1 less for each minion that died this turn. For starters, it's in BGH range, but then again, so many of these cards are in BGH range. We may even see 2 BGHs coming into the control decks. It does nothing when it's played, nor does it do anything when it dies, and if you're trading inefficiently just to get this guy into play, then you're probably in a good position already, and you're just making life harder for yourself. In Constructed, I certainly won't be taking this card into my deck. In Arena, on the other hand, this card is pretty damn good. The 8/8 for 8 is already good, and this is going to be 7/8 for at worst 7, maybe 8, and that's going to be very good. Moving on, we have the Druid of the Flame. 3 mana for a 2/2. Choose one, transform into a 5/2 or a 2/5. This card I think is really quite amazing. In recent weeks I've had some disappointing results with the Shade of Naxxramas. It feels just too slow for me in the current meta. Stat-wise, 2/5 for 3 is very good, I think. It's going to be quite sticky in that early game. And I imagine as well that this card is also going to be a beast once you've chosen the form. So there is possible synergy with the Druid of the Fang. At the moment that sort of synergy is clunky at best, so once it gets a little bit more consistent you may see that kind of deck. So in Constructed, I will certainly think about replacing my Shades with this card, just because it's a little bit faster and you're getting a little bit more guaranteed budget. In Arena, the 2/5 alone, just for 3 mana, is going to make this card pretty top tier, I think. Moving on to the Core Rager, 4 cost, 4/4. If your hand is empty, you gain 3/3. Now I said this as soon as the card came out, that this card is going to be, in Constructed, terrible at least. I mean, you're playing Face Hunter, you're not really going to empty your hand by about turn 6, turn 7, and if you're still there and you need to play something like this to win the game, then you've already lost, because that's not what Face Hunter's about, and this card doesn't do anything when it's played, it just sits there and it dies, and you're not really going to have it survive, I don't think, long enough to actually do anything. So, too slow for Face Hunter. Will it come into the sort of mid-range Hunter? No, I don't think so, because you have the Pilot Shredder already, and if you run out of cards in sort of turns where this card is going to be useful in the mid-range Hunter, then you've lost, basically. In Arena, this card is probably going to be above average, I'd say, because 4/4 alone is, well, average, and the added effect of 3/3 for the 7/7 for 4 is, that's very good, but is that going to happen enough? Then, well, that's why it's above average and not top tier. The second card for Hunter then is Quickshot. 2 cost, deal 3 damage. If your hand is empty, draw a card. Now, I don't quite understand why they're giving it the whole, if your hand is empty, draw a card. 2 mana for 3 damage is pretty good, because you see the Dark Bomb and Frostbolt comparison. I don't think that you're going to be playing this too much where your hand is going to be empty to get the added effect. Now, I don't really know the idea behind this card. I'm not sure where it fits in, because in Face Hunter you're dealing damage very quickly anyway, and for 2 mana you can do 2 damage without using a card. So, unless this is going to fit somewhere in the mid-range Hunter, and even then, when they have Knife Juggler, Haunted Creeper, Ironbeak Owl, like, where does it fit in? In Arena, this card is going to be pretty good, because Frostbolt is already pretty good, Dark Bomb is pretty good, and the added effect of drawing a card when you're empty is probably still not going to happen a lot, but the card's okay. Now we're on to the Mage. First up, we have the Flame Waker. It's a 3 cost, 2/4. After you cast a spell, deal 2 damage randomly split among all enemies. I think this card might be pretty good in those sort of mage decks where you don't run Flame Strike, you don't run Blizzard, you don't run kind of Cold. So the sort of tempo mage it may fit into. Would it fit into Met Mage? No. No. But the sort of tempo-y decks, yeah, I could see this being run. I'll probably try it out myself. In Arena, this card is going to be pretty good because it's a 3 mana, 2/4. Those are pretty good stats. And the added effect is very nice, I think. It's whether or not you can get it off, but it won't be much better than pretty good. Next up, we have the Dragon's Breath. A 5 cost, deal 4 damage, costs 1 less for each minion that died on this turn. Now, I'm not really a huge fan of this cost 1 less stuff because the card is very over budgeted for what it does, and these cost effect things are going to be very circumstantial and may not be efficient. So this card, I would say stay away from it. Like, you have Frostbolt, you have Fireball, you have Flame Strike, you have all the damage you need. Just stay away from it. In Arena, this card will probably be okay, given that you're going to be trading quite a bit. And to give an example, you trade your 3/2 into their 3/2, and then you kill their 3/4 for 3 mana. It's not much better than that, really. Moving on to Paladin then. Dragon Consort, 5 cost for a 5/5 Battlecry. The next dragon you play costs 2 less. Oh man, this card is all kinds of overpowered. This is a dragon adventure. Some of the most overpowered cards in the game are dragons. I think we all know what's coming, don't we? This really is the next Dr. Boom, Undertaker, Cancer card, you know. The 5/5 stats alone are alright. I mean, look, we play Loatheb, and that's alright. But this card, you know, you play your Dragon Consort. Next turn, like, you can coin out your Sarah. I mean, it's just brilliant. And I think if you're playing a Dragon Paladin deck, which you probably will be, you will be running 2 copies of this card because this card is great. In Arena, this card is going to be pretty bad. 5/5 stats are okay, I guess, but the guarantee that you'll be playing a dragon, I mean, it could work, but it's probably not going to. So, yeah. But this card, I'm calling it right now, is going to be OP in Constructed. The next card we have is Solemn Vigil. 5 cost, draw 2 cards, cost 1 less for each minion that died on this turn. Well, when I saw this card, I laughed quite a bit because, well, I mean, just read it. It's terrible. At the best of times, Paladin doesn't really need card draw unless you are playing that aggressive Paladin, and that has Divine Favor, which is probably, if you're playing an aggressive deck, Divine Favor is the best draw mechanic in the game. It's fantastic. And then you look at this card, and no, just feel free to try it out, try and make it work, but I won't be. It's bad. In Arena, this card is going to be essentially Arcane Intellect with the potential of being better, so I would rate it quite averagely, but yeah, stay away from this card in Constructed. So, moving on to Priest. Resurrect, 2 mana, summon a random friendly minion that died this game. Wow, this card is very, very good. If you look at an average of all the cards that you run in a Priest, then you're pretty much bound to get good value out of this one. I do think this is very, very, very good. And given that Priests, aside from the whole Shrinkmeister, Recombobulator, even though that kind of thing hasn't really grown on me because it's very slow on ladder, Priests don't really have an awful lot of great 2-drops. So a card like this, yeah, I can see myself playing this card. It's good. In Arena, this card is again going to be very good, I think, because you're going to be having your early game, and then your mid game, and then your late game. So if you look at mid game, 2 mana for a mid game card is going to be almost certainly very good. Finally, for the Priest, we have Twilight Welp. A 1 mana 2/1. If you're holding a dragon, gain 2 health. Yeah, well, this card is very good, and often in Priest you're kind of forced to throw out your Northshire Cleric on turn 1 to build up a little bit of board presence.
and if you don't do that, you run Zombie Chow, but then it kind of makes your mid-game and late-game a little bit clunkier. So this card, yeah, I think this is very good. Will it replace Zombie Chows in a Priest if you're running Zombie Chows? Yes, I think it will, because the whole Priest doesn't really do much damage thing. It really can hurt you quite a lot. So, yeah, I think this card's very good. In Arena, this card is going to be absolutely terrible. You can't count on drawing dragons, and if you're holding a dragon, gain 2 health yet. So without that, it's just a 1 mana 2/1, and that is terrible. So that just about wraps up part 1 of these videos. If you have found this video useful or insightful, then feel free to like and subscribe to my channel. And I'll be releasing part 2 very, very shortly, and it will be in this description below. Thank you for watching. I also quite apologise for the very bad animation. I am quite new to this, but I want you guys to all know what my opinion is as a very passionate Hearthstone player.
Blackrock Mountain, a Hearthstone adventure!